Hey, budgeters. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Sensible Chat. I'm Sensible Bobby. Last week, we went through the process of creating your spending plan, and we touched on the difference between a spending plan and a budget. Here's a refresher. The spending plan is a plan for what to do with your money once it hits your bank account. Your budget is a breakdown of the money that's already in your bank account. This week, we're going to create a budget. This is step number 5 in the 6 steps to slay your debt. We're going to use YNAB, that's You Need a Budget, to go through this process. You're going to want to have your spending plan and financial picture handy. You also need to know how much money you have in your bank account today. You can do this with pen and paper or a spreadsheet, but it's much more cumbersome, much more time consuming, and nowhere near as easy to take on the go. For these reasons and so many more, I highly recommend YNAB. For $84 a year or $7 a month, it's the best money I spend all year. Let's dive in and you can decide for yourself. If you're listening to the podcast, jump onto my YouTube channel so you can see exactly what we're doing. This is what your YNAB is going to look like when you first set it up. You have all of these category groups with various categories under each one. They do that for a specific reason, which I'm not going to go into right now. But for the sake of simplicity, I've set up a category group, sample category group, with all of the different categories that we need. These have all come from your financial picture. If you take a look at the financial picture that we did a few weeks ago, you can see all of the different expenses and the due dates. And that's what I have used to create all of these categories here. And if you want to add a category, you can click on this plus button and type in the name of whatever category you want and click OK. It's going to put it right here at the top, but you can drag it anywhere you want. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that because we don't want it. I'm just going to click one more time on new category and hit delete. So you can see that these are all customizable and they are, once again, for our purposes, in the same order that we have from the financial picture. Now, there is currently no money in here, and so we have nothing to budget. If you remember, the difference between a spending plan and a budget is that your spending plan plans for money that is coming, but your budget budgets the money that is in your bank account today. So now we need to set up our checking account and fill it with the amount of money that's in our checking account today so that we can go ahead and budget that money. So we're going to go over here on the left and click on Add Account. You're going to choose Unlinked. The linked links everything to your bank account, and you can do that later if you want, but for our purposes, we're going to use Unlinked. So click that. We're going to select our account type, which is a checking account. And for a nickname, let's just call it Checking Account. And it's asking us for our current balance. So let's say that we have $1,200 in our bank account today. We're going to enter that, click Next. And you can see success. We've added our account. We have no other accounts that we want to add at this point, so we're going to click Done. Now you can see that there's $1,200 up here in what is called To Be Budgeted. Anytime you make a deposit or have money that comes into your bank account and you enter it into YNAB, you want it to go into To Be Budgeted so that you can start from there and budget the money individually into your different categories. If you click on your checking account, you'll see that this is basically like a check register. And so all of your transactions will be entered here. And you can see we have a starting balance right now of $1,200. So we're going to go back to our budget now. And let's decide how this money is going to be budgeted. This is February 22nd. And so we will be getting another paycheck according to our spending plan. Let's check this out. Our spending plan, the next one, the date is March 1st. So that is when we will get our next batch of money. So what does our money need to do in the meantime? We're going to assume that all of the bills are paid between now and the first of the month that need to be paid. The only thing that we have to worry about is rent, which is due on the 1st, because as you can see, we decided that we were not going to budget for rent on the 1st. We were going to wait until the 16th. That way we have 2 weeks of our rent being in our account before it is due. And that makes sure that we're never late on the rent. So we need to put the money in for rent now since we're not going to budget for it on the first when we get our next paycheck. So the amount of rent you can see is $1,000. And so we're going to put $1,000 into our rent category. The way you do that is to click to be budgeted and move $1,000. And you want to move that to rent mortgage. Click OK. And now you can see that there's $1,000 available. This is your available column. There's $1,000 available for your rent mortgage, and there is $200 left in to be budgeted. What do we need to do with that money? Well, again, we decided that all the bills are paid between now and the first. So we don't need to worry about any of the other bills because this is the only one that needed to be covered. And so we're going to look at the other things that we need between now and then, which would be groceries. We need to make sure that we can eat between now and then. And since we only have one more week until we get paid, we're going to look at how much we might need for groceries. And let's go back to the financial picture. We have $400 allotted per month for groceries. That breaks down to $100 per week. Since we only have 1 week until we get paid, we can estimate that we might need $100 for groceries. So let's go ahead and put $100 into our groceries category. Now we have $100 left. What else do we need to do with this money? Well, it's probably the same for gasoline. You want to make sure that you have enough gasoline for the week. So let's go over to our financial picture, and we can see that there's $200 allotted for gasoline for the month. That would break down to $50 a week. So let's put $50 into our gasoline category. So we're going to click back up here on to be budgeted, $50, and choose the gasoline category. That leaves us $50. Now, this is kind of a judgment call. We're pretty much covered in everything we need. We've got rent covered, our groceries and gasoline are covered, all the bills are paid. So, what does this extra $50 need to do? Now, we could keep it in to be budgeted, but when you keep money in to be budgeted, it has a tendency to fritter away very easily. It's kind of like at your job, if all of your tasks are done, you kind of tend to waste a little time before the end of the day before you clock out. And it's the same with your money. So we want to make sure that every dollar has a job. And that's the whole premise behind zero-based budgeting. So let's decide what to do with this $50. And since our whole purpose here is to pay off debt, we're going to put that toward our debt and be very thankful that we have an extra $50 to do that. That's very exciting. So we need to decide, though, which debt we want to put it to because we have a personal loan, a car payment, and a credit card. So let's go back again to our financial picture because if you recall, we're using the debt snowball method, and that means we're attacking our lowest balance first, which is our personal loan. So that is where we're going to put the $50. So we're going to click up here on to be budgeted, move the $50 into personal loan. Now you can see there is 0 for to be budgeted, which is great because now we've budgeted all of our money. And the $50 in personal loan, you can see here that is due on the 27th. We already decided that that has been paid for the month. So that's okay. This money can sit here until you make your next payment. But at least now it's earmarked for that so you don't accidentally use it for something else. So now let's take a look at what will happen when you get your next paycheck. That will be for March 1st through March 15th. So let's go ahead and put that in as if you've gotten that paycheck today. So we'll add a transaction, you'll put in the date. The payee is going to be whoever is paying you or whoever you are paying. And so for this purpose, we're just going to make this paycheck. And the category is going to be budgeted. That's where we always want our money that is coming into our account to start. So it's going to be an inflow of $1,400. And we'll save that. And now, if we go over to our budget, we'll see that we have another $1,400 to budget. So in this case, we don't even have to think about where to put this money. We've already decided our spending plan is broken down step by step, line by line for the full amount of our paycheck. So we can see that the first one is electricity. We're going to put $150 into our electricity budget. So we click here on to be budgeted and put $150 and choose electricity. And so the next one is going to be the cell phone. That's $150. So we're going to click here, put $150 into the cell phone category. And you keep going on from there. So for every category that you have here and every dollar amount, you're just going to put that into YNAB, starting from to be budgeted, type in the amount and type in the category and click OK. Keep doing that until your to be budgeted gets to 0. And if you have done it right and your total expenses here match your paycheck, it's going to fall right in line without any issues. Now that you've seen it in action, try it out for yourself. Go to censablechat.com and click on the YNAB link in the show notes for this episode or the comments section below this video on my YouTube channel to get a free 34-day trial. The final step: follow your plan. Seems obvious, right? But this is where most people fail because the best laid plans don't work unless you work them. So, how exactly do you follow your plan? Create a spending plan for every paycheck and budget every paycheck according to your spending plan. That's the setup. The execution comes from monitoring your budget and tracking your spending. Those are the keys to following your plan. And we're going to go over both of those next week. In the meantime, if you need help creating your budget, get in touch with me and let's work together. You can schedule a free consultation on my website at censablechat.com. While you're there, check out my blog post series, The Diary of a Budgeter. I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and connect with me anytime on MeWe, Parler, LinkedIn, Gab, or USA.life. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. And until next week, remember, do the math, live the life.